Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Listen, welcome in to Real Talk with Ro. Glad that you all decided to join on tonight. For those of you that are on Facebook, don't forget to like and to share. Even start a watch party if you would. Tag some of your friends. Tell them we on tonight. Those for you that are on YouTube, don't forget to come in and subscribe and like and share it even to those your other social media platforms. Listen, I'm excited about tonight's topic. We're always going to be dealing with the most current events in our world, around the world, and the like. So I just appreciate you all again tonight for coming in. Have some wonderful show lined up for you all tonight. As you can see, to my left and your right, there is an empty chair. My brother, Pastor Frank Oliver, he is en route. Want to make sure that he arrives safely, in all this traffic. So he is en route. We're gonna chime in on tonight and just take some time to talk about passing the tests, right? Passing tests. Where'd you get that from, Ro? Well, I really got that from just the thought I had today about how those of us that are minorities in these yet to be United States of America have to jump so many hurdles in order to be qualified, so to say, to get to certain areas in life, right? We always have to be better than, or we have to forever be playing politics when other people can literally just be themselves, right? So I'm extremely excited and extremely proud on tonight that I feel that our vice presidential candidate on the Democratic side, the sitting U.S. Senator from California, Senator Kamala Harris, I believe she passed the test last night on that vice presidential debate. I do believe that she passed the test. Yes, because she have done better. Because all of us can always do better, but I do believe that she passed the test. She did what she was asked to do with so much grace, and if I can say calmness, that she did it, and we'll dive into that a little bit. But I want to congratulate her, and I also want to send kudos out to women of every stripe, right? Want to start the show off right. Women of every stripe, whether you're black, Caucasian, Asian, or Latino. I just want to big up y'all on tonight for some of the abuses, right? The abuses that you all have to take at the hand of misogynistic men, or men that don't celebrate you all's strengths. And it was on full display last night, on full display for all of us to see how women, when they're in a space that is predominantly dominated by men, how they have to take a beat with their thoughts, take a beat with their demeanor, their attitude, and still exercise a level of grace and a level of intelligence that the moment doesn't call for, right? And then that's just my little spiel. So kudos to Senator Kamala Harris and to all women across multiple planes on having to deal in those spaces when you're dealing with misogynistic men and men that cannot celebrate the power of a woman. And then we're going to get into a little bit later, we're going to get into the sugar honey iced tea of last night, which was hilarious. I hope you got my acronym, but we're going to get into the sugar honey iced tea of last night. So, but again, still on going with the kudos that was given out. There's a couple of things that I wrote down that I just wanted to celebrate, even on how other women were celebrating the passing of the test from last night that Senator Harris did. One quote that I got was from our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama. But let's do her last. I want to go to former Senator Claire McCaskill. She is an MSNBC contributor, wonderful woman, former Senator Claire McCaskill. She said of last night's debate, she said, let me start with Pence. He was patronizing, which drove all the women crazy. And also he was boring, which lost most of the men. Kamala, on the other hand, she was strong. She was in command, and she had a hint of joy. You can just see it kind of permeating and coming across the screen like that. And then our forever First Lady, she chimed in and she said that Kamala was strong. She was honest. She was clear. And she was hopeful. And of last night's debate, she said tonight, Kamala Harris proved that she and Joe Biden have what it takes to move this country forward. So it was just some congratulations that came out amongst a lot of congratulations. I just pulled these particular two women out, former Senator Claire McCaskill and our forever First Lady Michelle Obama, with those congratulations to prove the point that I believe that Kamala Harris really passed the test on last night. But let's go a little bit further. Frank will be here whenever he gets here, but I'm not going to belabor the moment. Let's get to some other stuff that I think were apparent, and y'all help me in the comments on YouTube and Facebook. Y'all talk back at me. Let me know that you're there. So I want to read these couple of quotes that I got, and then we'll move further and talk about them. Anika Noe Rose, she said that the smile that Senator Kamala Harris gave with the "I'm speaking" is the public mom smile every black child who has ever messed up recognizes as one step away from annihilation. Right? And then Soledad O'Brien, she was a CNN host and contributor, wonderful reporter in her own right. She said, woof, so many women know this, the face, right? The "I am annoyed, but I'm still going to smile at you because we're in public" vibe, right? When Kamala said, "I'm speaking." Listen, let me make my disclaimer right now. Every black man who is a son of a black man, or who has dated a black woman, or who is currently married to a black woman, or divorced from a black woman, knows that face. Listen, when you see that face and you see that smile, man, it means that trouble is on the horizon. Y'all need to talk back to me in these comments. I said, man, Pence don't know what he doing, because if this was any other form, I feel that Senator Harris would have eviscerated Pence on sight. Like, she would have cut him into shreds. But because she was on the debate stage, and we'll get into, I believe, why she had to kind of remain silent, that smile and those look. Did y'all see how she, on one of them, he interrupted her and she cut those eyes and was like, listen, if you've ever got that look from a black woman the next thing you should do is run. Because it's just not gonna be good with the next few words that are about to come out her mouth. The fight is over. You lost this argument. You might as well tuck tail and run, because it's over. But it also pointed to the fact on how I was particular in pulling out the women quotes that I saw. Yeah, beard man, run and run fast, right? But I was king out pulling out women quotes because it seemed that women all knew what that felt like to be interrupted by a man when you're trying to get your point across. And listen, for my part, on conversations I have had with women, listen, I'm sorry. Sometimes you got to be able to see it in like real time to notice what you're doing, right? Because you still don't get it. You be like, oh man, that's just disrespectful. But he was real disrespectful, and it was a trip how, like, had Soledad O'Brien, the quote I read earlier was like, man, all women know how this feel, and you make that face that, man, that's just that I'm annoyed face. And, that, hey, I'm speaking like, and she tried to be as non-black woman as she could. And she said, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. And I didn't see Kamala come up. I saw Mamala come up. When she said, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking, I was like, this dude. I just put my head down looking at the TV like, this dude has absolutely no idea the amount of trouble he is withholding that is being held back from him. He don't know that fire and brimstone is literally right behind him if he keep down this path. But it was just interesting, and I had to check myself about, my dealings and how and even now moving forward, how I have to be better about my communication with women, and not to be disrespectful. Hold on, we got to take a pause. All rise. The Honorable Overseer Frank Oliver is in the building. Y'all make some noise for my brother. He's here. He has arrived safely into the studio. Bless God for the man of God.
What's up, man? What's up, boy?
What's good, Brody?
Always late.
Man, listen, ain't nobody mad.
Always late, but on time, baby.
You're doing your thing. You come at the right time, because I just started talking about how Kamala, if she was in a different form, she would have eviscerated Pence for interrupting her. Like, he don't know from a black man perspective when that woman, when she had that look, like those eyes, and when she said, listen, I'm speaking, he didn't know he was 2 seconds from getting cussed all the way out. And the only thing that held him up was because she was on the debate stage.
So let me say this. I didn't get to watch it. I was listening at it because I was working out. But I want to talk from a place of listening.
Yeah.
And not seeing.
Okay.
Because it made me ask some questions for myself. Mm-hmm. And I was doing some taping at the house that I want to do for, the wonderful We Are LA site. And I asked myself this, man, how many times do we not listen? Like, I was upset. This man was he was talking all over it, right? You know what I mean? And then I had to ask myself, how many times as a man have I done that to a woman and really didn't know that I was signaling to her, I didn't value her opinion, because that's what it signaled to me. He didn't value her opinion, nor did he value the woman who was the moderator. He was like, look, I'm going to do my own rules. I'm going to do my own thing. And at that moment, I'm pissed off about it. And then I had to ask myself, but I do this though, too.
I just said that before you walked. I was like, man, I had to check myself and my conversation, because I'm like, you don't know it. Like, women will tell you, you're not letting me talk. And people like, nah, I'll let you talk. I'll finish your thing. And then I'm looking like, oh, that's what that looked like.
That's what that looked like, right? Right. And so it was a reflection of me to say, I think we as men, and maybe that's why it didn't make me, because it didn't make me go off on my boy. You know what I mean? Right. Well, let me not say he's not my boy, because Prince is not my boy, but
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? It made me not really go off on him, because I saw myself in that place. You know what I mean? Like, I understood how we as men have not been used to women on this level with us, right? And so we always talk about, but equality is really, it's a new idea of women being in the same, like, especially let's talk about preaching. Like, it's a new thing of women being able really to hold the same weight as men. You know what I mean? They've been preaching all the time, but it's like, okay, you the preacher over there. You know what I mean? And so I had to act. I'm learning that we have to more see them as colleagues and trying to understand where that place looks like, but also how do I do that and still keep the competitiveness of the moment, manhood, right?
of the moment, because they are in a debate,
right? But
now he's having, like, I read a quote from Soledad O'Brien. She was like, "Whoo, every woman knows what that feels like," and I'm like, "Dang, is it that? Are we that bad?" You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like she's not necessarily talking to him. We know that Pence and Trump and them, their cult of men from that cloth are very misogynistic and stuff. And I think we can be honest enough to say that, man, you know what? I think I've had some of those misogynistic tendencies where I have to now, going forward, check myself to not make any woman I come in contact with feel that type of, I guess, disrespect. Because like you said, we got to learn to now be like, okay, he had to get used to in that moment, this woman is my equal. Like, I'm the vice president, but she could be vice president. Like, we ain't never had to call a woman Madam Vice President or Madam President. Like,
so can I if I could be transparent, and I think your show is a very transparent show. Now this is where I have a love-hate relationship with equality.
Okay. Break that down.
Because if now that she's in the room and now I have to see her as a equal, that means then she also has the ability to define and change the game. If I'm in the room and I'm going after you, you remember when we played ball and you put on Tupac? Now we church boys, but I put on Tupac before the thing. I'm about to go see my rival team and I see blood.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I play basketball. I'm not talking about football. In football, a whole different world. I'm about to ram you up. But in basketball, I'm about to. And some of the things that we would say, like I'm about to go in you like with no Vaseline.
Right, like on the court talk is something.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, we on another level.
When she enters the room, I can't have that same conversation.
Right, the dynamics of the debate have to change.
You get me? I can't be on the court and tell the girl I'm about to go in you with no Vaseline. I may care, but if that get out,
right?
You get what I'm saying?
Because but is that fair? Let's be honest. Is that fair for the competition of the debate? Because if we're not arguing for Pence, but if we're going to argue for the male-female dynamic as it relates to debating, if you step in the ring, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they what we say, if you feeling froggish, jump. Well, you jumped in the ring. All bets, everything should be fair, but we know, and we'll get into it, even as a black woman, she couldn't be the Kamala Harris that annihilated Judge Kavanaugh. She couldn't be the Kamala Harris that took it to Attorney General Barr, right? But she was in that room.
So two things happen, right? Two dynamics happening. It's not that she couldn't, she didn't, because her job was to show America she was safe.
Right.
See, remember, we from California, we know Kamala.
Right.
But her job is to show America she's safe. So even if you would have let her, she wasn't gonna go. She wasn't gonna go. Now for us, we mad.
Right.
Because why do we always got to water ourselves down to make them feel comfortable?
Right. Let's go there. See, so y'all know him, Charlemagne the God. He has a huge TV show, simulcast and radio show in New York called The Breakfast Club. He was quoted today for saying, "I can't wait for the day when a woman like Senator Kamala Harris can show up as her full self and doesn't have to be worried about being labeled as an angry black woman."
It's never going to happen. And one of the reasons why it's never going to happen is this. When we introduce women again, and I'm going to go back to the point we was making practice, when we introduce them and say, okay, you can play the game, they're not here just to play the game. They're here to also be able to make rules for the game.
Okay.
And that means that we have to give up power. It's like right now, take the NFL, a predominantly black player, right?
Right.
But they ain't got no power.
None.
Right? The owners is majority probably white, all white, right?
Right.
They don't got no power, so I'm gonna let you play. But that don't mean you have power. Women are not just here to play. They don't want to just be the vice president. They want power to change and define. And now the question is do I want to give up power? Because I've been so used to the game I've been used to this being a brute sport.
Right.
I've been so used to coming in, I'm cutting off, we say cutting off nuts. Now I'm looking at you and saying, I can't do that.
Right. I got to rethink my whole
approach. Do I feel the same? How do we change? How do we redefine a world of equality that both genders can feel substance and drive and fulfillment in?
Right.
How do we? I think that's where I'm trying to go. How do we prepare that world? Because if it gets too feminine, then I don't want to be a part of it.
Right.
If it gets too weak,
right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be part. If it's too masculine, then y'all telling us we misogynistic.
Right.
So how do I have something that balances out enough that we both can get fulfillment? And I don't know the answer to that, bro.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because it is. I mean, even like you said, we're men of authority. We're in leadership positions. It's something hard. It's hard to get used to when you relinquish power to another male in another area of ministry. Just, because we used to saying come, go, sit, stand, move, do, and then you give somebody else kind of that power, and it's like, are they going to, the first thing you think, are they going to treat the people the same way I treat the people?
Right.
Are they going to love on the rules of, or at least how we think, is this going to happen the way I will want? I cannot trust you with whatever percentage of power it is to not overexert that power.
Right.
And being, because you new to it. I remember my dad, when I was coming up, executive pastor, okay, even though you got to remember, son, you can't talk to the people. Right. Like I can talk to the people, right? Because he's delving out inches of power. And are you going to be responsible enough to handle this type of authority, this type of power, right? And I think that's a part of some of, I guess, our dynamic that people are having are when women, when minorities, when different, whatever you want to call it, spaces, the predominantly that who's been in power, Caucasian men, having to start giving out these different type of slices of power is now, are we going to retroactively enact revenge? I think they're scared that they believe that revenge is going to be enacted upon them for what they did. And I think it's an honest fear. But we don't want that, though.
But why? We showed them with Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah.
First black president of the United States. Overwhelmingly made white men feel powerful. They made a lot of money on Wall Street.
Yeah.
He brought back companies that they were losing. What did not he do? So I think it's more than that. The problem is, I think that the truth of the matter is, when you got power, you don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be real. It's not only the fun of it. I just
don't want to.
I think
don't want to give it up.
I'm looking at how to get more power. I'm not looking at how to give away the power. And I think and so that dynamic has to change unless I'm trained. Power's not, I think we got to understand the law. You know, when we went to school a long time ago in high school, we learned that energy is not lost, it's always transferred. Right?
Yeah.
Energy becomes power. Power, I can't look at losing power. I have to look at how am I expanding, opening up the way, and transferring power to us, or transferring power somewhere else.
Yeah.
In there, how do I transfer that? So we preaching. You killed him, Doc. You killed him, Doc. We giving out life. We preaching the word of luck, right? But when we want to say, that dude had a sermon, we call it in the notion of, you killed him, Doc. You rock. Boy, you. Now, that means that there's a way in which we have to convey the message enough for us to get some love from our colleagues.
Yeah.
Majority of the time when I see that, it's raw, Doc. It has nothing to do
with the word.
Right, but it also has nothing to do with femininity.
You're right.
So when I see a woman like Dr. Najuma start hollering and screaming, I ain't no longer looking at no woman. I'm saying you better go forward like a roaring lion. You better holler. You better look like a straight man rocking it, rolling it, right?
Right.
What happens when women want to come in and say, the killing it is going to look a little more feminine?
Right. And then depends on who's doing it and how they're doing it, given their demeanor and stuff, then it turns us off. We be like, you ain't even built like that. Like, that don't even attractive on you, because that's just not who you are, but they're playing into the construct of what we've created as far as good preaching, killing it.
Come on. Dr. Najuma Smith is one of my top, if we talk about top female, she's one of my top 5. But also, I love a Dr. Hillard.
Yeah.
Right? But I never say Dr. Hillard, she killed it, though. I never say Joyce Myers killed it.
Yeah, but she bringing it.
She cut and rocking. You know what I'm saying? I ain't took notes, but I ain't never said she killed it. Because though I see it as good preaching, I don't see the sport. There's a sport part of this.
When you look at the what is it, Jackie McCullough or Juanita Bynum, you know what I'm saying? That's a killing. But then when you look at First Lady Jakes, you be like, man, you don't. But she's still ripping it, but she ain't got that. I'm killing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's that prison.
Because our presentation, not only just the presentation, right? Because I can say a Noel Jones who is just a hollerer, who's not a good hooper at all. But then you give me a
Ty Hall.
H.B. Charles.
Oh yeah, H.B. Charles, Ty Hall. They
Todd Hall. Hoopology. You know what I'm saying?
101.
You hear what I'm saying? You talking about
Rudolph McKissick.
And I can say in all ways they killed it because there is this maleness, there is this overdrive, there is this transcending energy that we have transcended from you just having a good lesson to now you have moved into this part of celebration that is so cold, bro, that you are rocking. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. That you've entered. And I think we have that. And I'm going to talk I'm talking from a black church perspective and a black perspective, because we have it in that. We have it in our hip hop. We have it all this place where black men have said, this is what it looks like to be at your top level game when you're doing it. And this is how it's done. And it is done decidedly from a male perspective of looking at it.
Right.
Now we're saying women come in and she now has the right to say, not only say this is how women, because now we cool with you saying that's how women should do it, but now she's saying, no, don't label me as a woman. I want to now redefine what it looks like, what the top looks like.
Right.
And
because we went in with the expectation that Kamala was going to be Senator Kamala that was on the Judicial Committee cutting, and we was all like,
you better make him impotent.
Listen, I went in, I was like, Kamala about to eviscerate Pence.
Come on, I'm thinking I said she's about to make him a eunuch.
Right.
He's about to be a eunuch in the Bible, Doc.
And she was just calm.
Hey, girl.
Cool. Yes. And Michelle Obama, I wrote it down. She said, Michelle Obama, she was strong, she was honest, she was clear, she was hopeful. But I'm like,
but we feel it. But it's like that when you eat something and you ate at that place before, and then you go back and you like, it wasn't bad.
Right, but it wasn't the same.
But I'm missing something.
Yeah.
Like one more round. You know what I mean? Like Rocky, one more round. And again, like I said, the political part of it was you needed to introduce to her, and let's say it again. Even people who don't believe they're racist still are dealing in a racist world. Kamala Harris had to be presented, just like Barack Obama had to be presented, that they're safe.
That they're safe, and because Biden going into the election, if they get if they get the election at the time of inauguration, Biden is going to be 78. So a lot of people last night are looking at Kamala like this dude is one cough, one whatever
in the time of COVID.
Right, he's gonna be what 82 or something coming out of 4 years if the Lord is gracious to him. Can she be the president?
I think that was about both of the last night. Last night the VP. Last night, that debate was different because the question is, we got one dude who's in there talking about God gave him COVID. You president said right. God gave him COVID, and we's like, he ain't about to lose his mind. We don't know.
He on them steroids.
You got now Nancy Pelosi talking about we may have to hit the 25th
amendment. Yeah, he just lost.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Now, can Mike Pence take over for this guy who might be losing it? Can Kamala, can she take over if, God forbid, this man should make his transition? I need to know that she can be that person and not that
right, the angry black woman.
In this moment in time where, and I think this is what we probably look at it out, it got to get outside the bubble. We're in a moment in time that Trump has unleashed the demonic force of white supremacy. So, you know, in the book of Revelations, when it says, and there are these the horses who are running through, there are these vows that has been broken. Mm-hmm. He's released something in the earth.
Yeah.
That has woken up every white supremacist, how do the FBI just found out they decided that they was going to kidnap the governor of Michigan.
Like 6 of these dudes gonna kidnap.
And they said Trump, they was training.
And Trump silent. He ain't said nothing.
He's released something that I'm going to tell you that is going to go way beyond him for years. 30% of the country has said we validate the demonic spirit of white supremacy.
Right.
And I'm not just talking about white people. I'm talking about this black people. This spirit of white supremacy. This that white is at the top. Everybody else to be subject. All of the things that white supremacy brings, they have. Do you think because Trump leaves, that's going to be over? No.
Oh, no.
We have to now deal with 30% of people who feel that it's okay to have this type of spirit. And so I say that to say, those are Americans that Kamala has to also
appeal to
and has to also govern, and she has to also do life for them too.
Yeah.
And that was her thing yesterday. And somewhat, I think it was a funeral to me because my black shero I have to now share with the world.
Yeah.
And that's what and most people say, well, Barack Obama didn't do nothing for us. Really what we just doing is grieving that our black hero had to expand beyond us and we had to share with the world.
Yeah. And I think for that, and that's what today's topic is about. I think she passed, like you said, that
she passed the test.
She passed the test.
But then
she passed the test.
Is it ironic that both people, but I also want to know, is it ironic that the people who passed the test either is biracial or in a biracial relationship?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even look at it like that.
You know
he had a white mama from Kansas. She had a biracial. Her mother was.
Her mama's from India, but then she's married to
a Caucasian
Jewish man. Cory Booker's one. He's passed. He can be one step from passing, right?
Right.
He's one of us. I just wonder when will we get to a place where we will accept, and maybe we're there. We'll accept a Michelle Obama. Straight.
I think honestly, I think if Michelle would have ran, man, it would have been hands down. It would have been over as soon as she announced whether she was coming on Biden's ticket as the vice presidential nominee or as the presidential nominee. Trump would be losing his mind if Michelle Obama was on the ticket, because I think he knows now that all things being equal, defeat is imminent. If it was Michelle Obama, he'd be screaming from the rooftops, it's rigged, Russia coming, everybody coming. He ain't go, you know what I'm saying? Because even today, he called Senator Harris
a monster.
He called her a monster and unlikable. It was one more, but I was like, dude is like petrified of this black woman, and she wasn't the angry black woman last night. She wasn't. She was just cool, calm, collected, and eviscerated him on his record. He's trying to act like he ain't the president right now.
But that's the problem. How can a black woman? Y'all gotta remember that's his whole thing. How can a black woman do this better than us? How could a black man? That's the only thing he only cared about. They are infatuated with Obama. They almost make me think Dr. Fred Welsing is totally right. They're fascinated with Barack Obama. They're fascinated with black men. And I can go through the historical book of talking about, because we never talk about it, is how much white slave masters was fascinated with black men and black physique and black men. There's one thing to lynch them, but why did you have to cut off their genitals? Right. It was amazing that I saw pictures of people who were at Trump in Florida in Trump's rally, who had a hat with a black male's genitals coming out the hat. You are fat, and in the stereotype, like this big old male genitals. Yeah. You are. There is a problem when you're this fascinated with that, and that's where you will find in many writings where they say, and those men were sexually violated and sexually abused too. We don't talk about those stories about black men enslaved right there.
Because it's an
for some reason he's fascinated with and cannot understand how black people can be this smart, be this can serve at this level. And that's what you're seeing out of him. I don't think it's all people, but that's what you're seeing out of him.
Yeah, and I think it's bringing out his own insecurities, his own, failings or shortcomings, as far, like you said, when you look at them from an intelligentsia perspective, how they went to Ivy Leagues and they've just met the ranks. They ain't got no crazy baby mamas, they're not.
They don't pay for them to get in.
Nothing. They don't hit none of the stereotypical things. They just doing their thing. They can just knock the ball out the park. And he around here committing every crime that the law has allowed and don't allow, using every loophole, and still he know in his Noah he can't measure up.
Right, but then that again will let you know what this is about. This is the last leg. This election is about to be about one thing. Where do white men find themselves in the overall society of American society? That's what this is about. Are you okay with being a white man and saying we're going to share power with now those who are others?
Yeah.
That's what Biden's saying.
Do you think it's just the United States, or
it's all around the world?
Representing this election is kind of representative of the world. Like white men just got to take the world, give a slice of this power.
So a lot of people didn't know when Trump came through. Not only was this movement of white nationalism going on here, it was going around the whole world.
Yeah.
Right. White nationalism raised up in the whole world, because now the question is: are we going to share power? Can we deal with, again, like we started off by saying, that other people are going to come here and redefine the rules and we're going to share power? Or are we going to say we need to maintain the status quo, that this has always been privilege for white men?
Yeah.
And every now and then we'll trickle something to our women. Now the women are saying we don't want the trickle. Now people of color are saying we don't want it. And when Obama took thing, he gave hope to, when they seen the whole world got hope. And now you got people thinking they can get out of their place. Oh, now y'all want my job?
Yeah, you can't come from my job.
Right. Yeah. So now the question is where are we going? And what we have seen is the worst of their white supremacy will make you look. They look like Judas right now.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now. It looked like Judas. All of those who was rolling with this dude, now they killing themselves. McConnell was on and was like, I ain't been at the White House
since August.
because the way they was handling it didn't seem to me like it was going. What did McConnell say? They deserve getting it. I told you, and I wasn't gonna go up there. Now they are
starting to get they gonna hang themselves. Yeah, they afraid. They like, man, now it's almost less than a month out. They like, we really don't want to go down with this ship, because if we go down with this ship, it's becoming apparent that they got a fight on their hands for the Senate in South Carolina and Arizona and Alaska and everywhere. Like they like, oh my Lord. It's gone, and they're trying their darndest to push this Supreme Court nomination through. And
that's gonna be the nail in the coffin. Because also remember, McConnell doesn't care. He's done what he wanted to do.
Right, got all these conservative judges up and down the federal bench.
He's put the nail in. He's gonna be revered. They're gonna put the nail in the coffin there, and what's going to happen? That's going to push people in. But what has happened is what Trump didn't realize. Politics. One of my mentors, the Dr. Piper Mandy, she went home to be with the Lord last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. She started off my first class in college. It was called The Politics of Black Community, and she started off with this. She said, if you get what I'm about to say here, you will pass this class. You may not even need to come back. She said this: politics is a whorehouse, and it depends on what trick you're going to turn.
Ooh.
What Trump didn't realize is the same people. See, if he really read the Bible that he was flipping, he would have realized that the same people who say Hosanna, Hosanna on a Sunday,
they're going to be the same Negroes.
We'll tell you, crucify
you on Friday.
Come on, do you get what I'm saying? See, that was already in. And so what he didn't realize is as what happened with Judas, once the devil left Judas's body, he left him. Judas was left. And this is what Trump has left. He's left his own devices.
Yeah.
That the power he seemed to have, that power from the prince of the air left and said, all right, we've got everything we can get out of you.
And we'll
have no need of thee anymore.
Yeah.
And now here we are. He's left his own devices. Now he's talking crazy to the point where the people think we may have to get somebody. They're trying to blame it on the steroids and the cocktails he's taking.
Yeah. No, he's hanging himself.
Right.
In essence.
And that's exactly. And all of this again goes back to that Bible he was flipping that he never opened up.
Yeah. Let's move, because we got a few minutes left. Man, let's move to the Sugar Honey Iced Tea Gate.
Sugar Honey.
Catch the acronyms. Let's move to the Sugar Honey Iced Tea Gate. When that fly.
Okay.
The fly. I can't leave. Listen, America. We cannot leave tonight's show without talking about the fly that felt ever so comfortable of sitting its happy self for over 2 minutes on the vice president's head, not moving while he moving, he's shaking. The fly is just like da da da, la da la da la da la. And I've just heard, that flies are attracted to sugar honey iced tea.
But let's go deeper, right? Let's go. That's so country.
I got it from Steve Harvey, y'all. Good way.
Since we are evangelicals, and he's an evangelical.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring it back because he brings everything back to his faith. So let's bring it back. The word Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies.
Mm-hmm.
This is biblical. Then Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, is another kind of word we would look at the devil. But then Jesus says, ye your father. Now, what mind you is who Jesus is talking to.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking to unbelievers. He's talking to religious leaders. Ye your father, the devil, and the works of him you will do. He was a liar from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is what Jesus says.
You all gonna do.
The devil is the father of lies. Also, AKA, we can call him Beelzebub.
Mm-hmm.
That
the
fly on your head so happens to land while you in a long conversation full of lies.
Full of lies.
Religious leader. So happened that the fly could have landed on everybody in the building, but it landed on you
and
in
got
the
comfortable.
midst and stayed there like, look at me, in the midst of you telling the world full of lies. You can't. You
couldn't script that.
Based on his Bible.
Yeah, not our Bible. I don't know what Bible he.
But I'm just saying, based on scripture, I just gave him scripture. Now he can scream about abortion. He can scream about homosexuality.
The only
but
two
six things the Lord hates. 7, right? 6 things the Lord hates. 7 is an abomination. The first is a lying tongue.
Yeah. Because they want to hamper on those from the LGBTQ plus community, and they want to deal with the right of life and choice, right? Roe v. Wade, I think, is on
but
okay, at the Supreme Court.
But okay with a president saying, I grabbed them by the poo.
Right. You know what I mean?
Stick my tongue down their throat. I'm grabbing. And so I think it means a lot. And maybe it's, maybe I'm getting a little more sensitive, and I think this happens with some of us. We get more sensitive, especially now that I got daughters. I wish a man would. You know what I mean?
Right.
Grab her by grab that one by the, and I'm gonna grab you. You know what I mean? But yeah, bro. I just think the fly. I just think if y'all tell me, as y'all said, that God is in control.
Huh? He don't make no mistake.
I just don't think that God. I just don't. If
God let that fly, that ever so fly touch ever so gently to let you know who this dude identifies with, or who was in control of him.
Or if God was so with what the Republican Party is doing, how and if all of this coronavirus was a lie and stuff, how y'all get COVID running rampant this long? I mean, and I'm not saying God caused it to be, but I'm just saying, if the way they say God is on their side, my question then is how you get the fly on your head? God just don't care about optics,
right?
God just don't. He just don't care. And I think God is, as He did with the church. I think it's Bible says judgment must first come to the house of God.
Mm-hmm.
I think as God did to the church, as He shut the doors of the church and said, "I need to clean y'all up." I think God is tired of people lying on Him.
Yeah, man, because the evangelicals
they've been lying.
The church.
Woo.
The evangelicals, right? You know what I'm saying? They're a part and parcel of what we would call the universal church, and they're giving Christians a bad look because they make us seem as if we don't have no love, no grace giving, like as if we ain't made a mistake. And the main ones, I've always seen that the main people that are attacking people for what they have done wrong are the main people that are doing wrong for themselves. The main people that don't extend grace to somebody else when they make a mistake is the main person that needs all of the grace in the world, because, you know, if truth be told, all of our sin sheets is from here all the way to the Colorado Rockies if God start pulling papers on folk. But these evangelicals act like they can't do no wrong and is giving Christianity a bad name. Like,
so Pastor, how can a Christian not be merciful? How can a Christian not be gracious when the first sin of the Bible wasn't that grievous? Don't eat the fruit.
right.
They ate the fruit and got banished out of a garden and never could return. Now, if that's the standard,
Right. Just pure disobedience.
the stuff I've done, just my little sin outweighs
what they did. Just
so
pure
it
disobedience.
doesn't matter whether you have 10 sins or 10,000. Just disobeying and not eating the fruit, you know what I'm saying?
Got you kicked out.
How much more can what we do on a daily can infuriate God and call and defile His holiness? So to me, if anybody should be, that all the Abrahamic faith should be, because the story of Genesis is for all the Abrahamic faith, but surely the Christian, who Jesus is the epitome of God's grace and mercy in bodily form to be poured out to the whole world. We should be men and women of grace and men and women of mercy. And it hurts me that we do not see the scripture in that way, because we see, and again, like I said, my white evangelicals, they see through the hermeneutical lens of white supremacy, not through the hermeneutical lens of grace and mercy.
Yeah.
And so we can read the same Bible, but we just see through different lenses.
And I think sometimes we give them too much of a pass. Like, I think they knowingly know they hypocritical. Like, on some levels, like, y'all know y'all wrong on how you're assessing this, right? You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to preach it. Right? It's one thing to preach it, and you preach it in sort of like, I love Paul's preaching, because you knew that Paul was doing some wrong, but he preached it in such a transparent way that he was transparent enough to not to tell you exactly what he did wrong, but he didn't make you feel guilty as if he was better than you. When I go to do good, right? Evil is always present. When I go, what I find myself doing is what I should not be doing. And then he calls himself, right? Oh, wretched man that I am. But he ends it with the grace you're talking about. But I thank God.
Yes.
Right? That for every preacher, that's where you preach it at. Like, but you can't get to the but I thank God before you get to the treachery in the wretchery that you are. And it's amazing that our evangelical brothers and sisters look past their own treachery and wretchedness and just try to want to espouse these values, yes, that God asks us to live up to, but be honest that, man, I'm pressing toward the mark. And I ain't gonna never make it, but I'm oppressed.
But you and Paul have learned to wrestle with revelation. You're talking about theology. You're talking about revelation. You're talking about people who have been apprehended by the call. See, the problem I have in the church is we really have not shown a criteria on why or who should be called to preach. We just call them preachers because they got churches, or we call them preachers because somebody else ordained them, but we do not know do they really have the call of God on them? Because it's hard for me to understand, how do you not wrestle with the call and your inefficiency to be able to be called? Everyone who was called knew that they didn't qualify. Right. So where do you get to the place where you believe that you have arrived, where you believe that you're the Christ, and don't realize that in your journey, all through your journey, I am never qualify. I've never qualified. I do not believe that this is a privilege by God. It's a gift by God for me to preach the scripture, for me to preach the Bible, because I really don't fit the criteria. Right. But it's by his grace. How do we forget that? And I think that's the problem is that we have got to a place where men preach out of arrogance. Men preach out of, again, their own opinion. And one thing I like about Paul is if it's Paul's opinion, Paul says, not the command of God, it says I, but we preach
grace,
opinion.
Right. Grace given to me from God to give my own opinion.
Right. Because by human nature, the flesh nature is hypocritical.
Yeah.
All men are hypocritical. That's why you need the Holy Ghost, because the Holy Ghost got to come in and be as Michael Jackson said, a man or the woman in the mirror. He got to bring you to the mirror to look at yourself and say, right? Because if you think about it, is these people are saying life, don't kill the babies, life, but then they can't say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, you're right. Once the baby here now. And you can't say Black Lives Matter. You got other Latino, our brothers and sisters having their kids separated from them, kids sleeping in cages, on floors, not being given just basic sanitary needs to be. But y'all talking about life.
Next month, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. They're going to celebrate bringing the turkey because the pilgrims came and they was fleeing political
oppression, by the queen
right?
And the king.
They was and they wanted religious freedom. They want to come and they're gonna celebrate that with the turkey, and they're gonna celebrate Thanksgiving and how good God was to allow them to come to America and find a new world. And at that same moment, they saying, "But we expelled anybody else who's looking for that same place, and we're okay with the kids dying in cages." This is hypocrisy, and yet they still in church saying, how great is our God?
Yeah, it's crazy. And if you really think about it, like you said, this world, this system that's being set up is even getting away from being thankful. I walked into Home Depot earlier this week and saw Halloween stuff and immediately saw Christmas. Like, my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving, maybe because I'm cut from the cloth, right? But you got to be thankful. How you hop smooth over from Halloween to Christmas and ain't gave thanks for absolutely nothing. You just want to,
because y'all supposed to have them family gatherings because COVID, so they can't make no money.
Man, there's no thankfulness. It's just about what me, because Christmas didn't even turn into not being thankful no more. It's like, what you getting me? What you getting me? It's just like this world has turned into a greed fest. Me, mine, and what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. Like, it's crazy in the church. It's like you said, the church, I think, has to deal with some culpability of it. It starts from the pulpit on down because it's
about mine too.
Right. We preaching a certain gospel that's going to the parishioners that's listening, that's causing them to live a certain way, and they're turning their nose up at other people that they're trying to win the crowd. And they like, man, if that's a Christian, I don't want to be a part. But where'd they learn that from?
They learned from us, because we are saying right now, we got brothers and sisters who's saying right now. I was feeling the pressure of going back to church, because my people was like, in church, and then, all of y'all having parking lot ministries, and y'all got my church is watching y'all in the parking lot and put tents on up. Say, like, Pastor, why we can't go back to church? Why we go back to church? So my first family who said that, the next week, they whole house got COVID. I said, I'm not going back.
Right.
Not bad. So then after they got over it, then people came back to me again. Was like, Pastor, people having the other people, foot gospel people having stuff. The bishop and had stuff outside. Can we just sit in the car? And I'm just like, I think like I do not like. I'd rather preach to the air than to preach to watching you sitting in the car. And then I'm gonna get mad because you in the air conditioner and I'm outside out here, and I'm not in LA. I'm in the IE. So we was hitting like 116, 112. I said, this is foolishness, right? So I was like, all right. The pressure of the people. I'm feeling the pressure like Moses. And then the man himself who said COVID is a hoax, has the best doctors, healthcare, the best stuff ever. He and the whole White House called it. I said, if the devil, I said it just like this, if the devil can catch COVID.
Who are we? Listen, who are we? Listen, tonight, we
hey,
just
bro,
hoping.
And so I'm saying, somewhat we have to ask ourselves, what is this really about? Is this about caring about others? Or is this really about feeding our ego? Because honestly, tell you the truth, the most depressed person during this time right now is the preacher. I think that's what we should do a think about. The preacher, and I'm watching my brothers, I watch them on Facebook every now and then, we depressed.
Yeah.
Because, go back to what I said, we are made and wired to get that energy, for that energy to flow.
Right.
Especially in the
black church
context, because it's
urban.
I got to have an amen now. Come on, we need that flow. And since February, March,
since March, we ain't had no flow. Nobody stroking that ego.
Or even if it ain't just the ego, I just ain't hearing nobody talk. I'm talking to the camera, but ain't nobody talking back.
Right, because the music. Let's be honest. Listen, y'all musicians ain't no help. We in the studio, we in the sanctuary by ourselves, and y'all ain't hit a chord. Y'all ain't said, "Hey man,"
or even if they hit
these musicians to talk back to the pastor.
No, they don't know when to talk, but they be talking back at the wrong time. Your musicians did not say amen during service. They
ain't gonna say amen now.
And half of them is so high they don't.
Man, listen, we didn't even open up the lines for telephone calls 424-234-8670. I'm just saying it just to say it. Listen, we got another show coming up. We got to get out of here. The producer, he getting mics and stuff ready.
He got mics ready.
Right, he about to kick us.
He didn't tell us if nobody called or nothing. He just,
you know what I mean?
Hurry on up.
Right, he get to, you know how they get to, like he on the Titanic, get the rapping chords and carrying on. Y'all got to move. You know what I mean? So listen. We're going to have to bring, I think that is a good topic. We probably have to get some pastors in studio, at least 4 in studio, do a round table, probably bring some in on the streaming that will be honest enough to say, listen, man, I've been struggling. I've been dealing with this whole COVID thing, because I think if we can be honest and transparent, it will help the people and it'll free the people for where they are, because they've been stuck in the house. They've been socially distancing and, you know, themselves too. So that's a good one. So listen. Thank y'all for joining us for the Pass the Test episode. At the end of the day, take a cue from our vice presidential nominee, Kamala Harris. Put your finger in the air. Know the temperature in the room, ladies and gentlemen.
That's good.
Know the temperature in the room, in whatever room you walk into. You can't always walk in being who you say you gonna be. Yeah. You have to be able to take the temperature in the room and know what part of yourself it is you need to present in order for you to pass the test. Her goal is to try to get us to a place to get us on a better path by pushing Joe. Listen, even though she has aspirations of being the president of the United States, she has humbled herself enough to push this older white man. And like you said earlier, play her role and be safe in a presentation, knowing that she's a heartbeat from literally and figuratively, she's a heartbeat from the presidency. She showed us a wonderful example of how it is to pass the test. And brothers, me and Pastor Frank admitted, listen, brothers, we have to do better.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to do what they call be quiet and really start to hear our women and not be disrespectful. It's one thing for us to say, because all of us have gotten into arguments and we've told the women we love, our mothers, our sisters, our aunties, all of that, wives, baby mamas, that we're listening. But if you have any percentage of a manhood in you, I believe that you saw yourself last night. Or like Pastor Frank said, he heard himself. He didn't even get to see it, but he heard himself and he got convicted in the fact that he wasn't passing the test when it came to listening and his communication dynamic as it pertained to women.
Yeah.
Listen, brothers and sisters, let's pass the test. Pastor Frank, what's your closing remarks, man, on pass the test?
I would say let's take this and let's look at this. I think we need to dissect it and examine ourselves. I think that you say it. I think that we need to be able to ask God for a couple things. I asked God yesterday for patience. Teach me how to be patient enough, because sometimes women talk they talk different than we do. And Lord, give me patience enough to listen and to know how to listen. Not just say listen, but I need patience enough to understand where a person's coming from. And then I would say this to our ladies. One thing you can learn from Sister Kamala, you can learn from her how to engage without having to give indictments. Watch this. Every time she talked to him, she indicted President Trump. Every time he talked about her, it was always Joe and Kamala Harris. He came for her. She never said Pence or Trump Pence ticket. She always said him, because she always said Trump, because this is a referendum against Trump and his policies. And she still made sure there was room to say that there's still some humanness in you, sir. And I think that if we can start to be wise in our communications and not indict people when we're in front of them, and men learn to have patience as they're listening, I think that we can get through a conversation. I think we can listen, and then I think we can go from there and utilize that to touch other people's lives.
Yeah, great example on conversation, right? She, as a black woman, she had every right to eviscerate that dude and emasculate him to the 10th degree.
She knows she could have killed him.
She could have killed him. Like that's the key right there. Women, when you know you can go in for the kill, she taught not just women, but especially black women, she taught you the art of self-control when you know the man is wrong. And she could have eviscerated him and emasculated him and would have been right about it. But she showed the restraint.
Yeah.
And she, what again? She passed the test.
Yeah.
So again, let's work on everybody passing the test. Thank y'all for tuning in on the night. Thank my big brother, Pastor Frank, for coming in, just having this conversation. Listen, y'all meet us back here again next Thursday. We're going to see if we can put that pastor round table together to call us into account on how we can move our pastor brothers and sisters forward in this COVID movement to try to give some and infuse some encouragement into our congregants about where they are. Man, let's work together to try to see if we can do that. Get two other pastor preachers.
You got one in studio, Doc?
Yeah, we do got one in studio. We might have to bring Beard is here, y'all. Y'all just ain't see him. Pastor Beard. Marcus Beard is here.
You just gonna have to get a woman. We gotta get a woman.
Yeah, we gotta find a woman.
We gotta learn now to share.
Yeah, we gotta learn
how to share.
Yeah, and we're going to put her in the middle to make sure that she ain't off on the side. Put her in the middle. We're going to celebrate
let her go on and moderate the conversation.
Moderate, to be in control. Well, you know, they already got the Eve. See, here we go. They already got the Eve spirit. They got the takeover. I ain't going to send you back to where you first came from, Frank. That'll be a whole nother show. Don't even answer, man. Because Frank, he be gone like on that Eve spirit. Don't talk about it. I'm not just, mute his mic because he going to be gone if I let him go, y'all. I'm getting out of here on that because Pastor Frank is gone. I can't pull him back. You know, it's like the game because as soon as I try to get him back, they calling me back when I'm trying to get out. Listen, we love y'all. We out of here. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all next week. Peace.